Okay, I decided to record a follow-up session on my database migrations, so that there are some couple of issues that might be helpful for you to know. One is to move forward. I should open up my class diagram as well. So this is obviously for the exam assignment that I've asked you to submit, so I'll open that up. But if you're comfortable navigating migrate, one of the things you should be very comfortable is moving back and forth from the object-oriented world into the database world. This obviously represents the connections, the classes, the properties, and the connections between them. Now, I've used the student's solution for this discussion. So I'm using my own database for this, so that obviously I don't want to mess up somebody's database during my discussion here. But the main issue that I wanted to show you was how do you migrate. So you have your models. Make sure again all your models are under the models folder. I discussed the college class and the game schedule class in the previous recording. And this student has, these are all the migrations for the student, starting with the one that's automatically created, which is the create identity schema. And then when the student added, so this is the best practice that as soon as you add a class, you want to add a migration. Okay, and then added the game schedule class and so on. So if and then when the student made some change to the game schedule, the student added another migration. So how do you manage this? Right now, the database doesn't have any tables. If I refresh it, you can see there's nothing here. There's only a this is EF migration history or entity framework migration history. Since I've not actually updated the database, if I do a select all from underscore EF, which stands for entity framework migrations history, you'll see it's empty. Now the migration ID refers to the name here, like create identity schema, add college, and so on. So I could, so I'll close this out, and I could update one at a time. So I could say update so the first one is, first migration is create identity schema, which was the auto-generated migration. Sorry, I left out update database, and then I could either say dash migration and then give the name, or it is actually easier to just say create identity schema, so you can leave out the dash migration. So if I just did this, okay, so it should run the first migration, which is for the ASP.NET security tables. Okay, so if I go into the database, I will first go to tables, refresh it, and you can see all the ASP.NET. These are for the security model, everything has come in, all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tables. And if I did a select all from the migration, you can see it created the first migration. Now, what I'm going to say is, let's say I'll choose one of something in the middle. So I'm going to say, go up to, let's say, modified game schedule. So I'm going to say up, I'll use the up arrow key and change the migration to, where did I say? I'll go modified game schedule. Modified game schedule and run that. So which means it will basically update the database for added college, added game schedule, added neutral site, and then modified game schedule. So it will 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 additional migrations. So if I go to the migration history, you can see it's the additional 4. So basically it's a total of 5 migrations. And if I refresh the tables here, okay, I do have the three new tables brought in from the migrations. Okay, now I could move back as well, so I can move forward and back. So if I said I wanted to go back to, let's say I didn't want to be here, I wanted to go to added game schedule. If I just said added game schedule, okay, it is not just added, it is added. I called it add. So you have to give the exact name of the migration. If you misspell it or if there's a typo, it's not going to find it. So, but if I go back and then do a select, so you can see that it went back by 2 migrations. And obviously it would reflect that. I think it wouldn't have neutral sites. So let me refresh this. So that neutral sites, which was in one of the migrations, the later migrations has disappeared. So you can go back. Obviously, in this case, the migrations themselves are not getting removed. It is just that we are, as far as the database is concerned, what gets the tables that actually get created or removed or changed on the database. Okay, so this is how you can navigate back and forth between the migrations. So if I just want to go to the last migration, I would just say update database. And then, so it would go all the way to the last one, which was added neutral site game. So I'll go ahead and do that. And if I go to select all from migration history, it will have the entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 migrations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 migrations. This is a snapshot, so it's not a migration, it's sort of the totality of the migrations, which constitutes the current model. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 migrations, and those 6 are here. And obviously the tables now will be all of the tables that are there for this project. So games, college, game schedule, neutral site, game, and neutral site. All of them have been created. So, and then one of the things you want to be able to do is to go back to cleaning everything out. So you can just say update database 0, which means we are actually going to go before any migration, even before the ASP.NET security models are created. So I'm going to just do an update database 0. Earlier we were doing it as dash migration colon 0, but this is a faster version. I think with the, I'm not sure if they've changed that recently, but they seem to have they are allowing the shorter version now. I don't think it used to work sometime previously, and that's why I got into the habit of using the dash migration. Anyway, so now since I've gone back to the clean slate, zero migrations, if I go back to select all from history, what it should tell me is there are no migrations now, which means if I refresh this, all of the tables should be removed. So this is something that so I should be able to move easily between update database for all my migrations. So if we're here, I would have all the tables, all the migrations, okay? And then it should go back to 0, okay? And which means that I don't have any migrations, okay? Now I'll refresh the tables and you can see the only thing remaining is the migration history table. Okay, now this clean back and forth, and again, as I said, you have to also be comfortable moving in between anywhere. So hopefully that's clear now. Now, this back and forth is sometimes not as clean when you actually have the data. You can see that currently I don't have any data in the tables. So if I ran this, okay, it's actually saying that these tables have not been created. So I have to first do my update database. So at this point, the tables should have been created. Okay. Okay, I have all my tables, but there is no data in the tables. And remember that the data comes in when I run the application. So I'll go debug, start without debugging. Okay, and now if I go to my database and run this, you can see it's populated the colleges and game schedules. Now, if I go back and try to migrate back, well, to clear out all the migrations, update database 0. Okay, if I do this now, okay, you can see that it's indicating there's a conflict. It's not clearing out the table. So if I went back here and said refresh, it's not clearing it out. And so you can see I wanted to go back to 0, but it kept 1, 2, 3, 4. So my previous command was go back to 0. You can see it went back. It removed this added neutral site game, or it went back, but it couldn't go modified game schedule. So something at this point with modified game schedule was preventing it from going backwards. And what was preventing it from going backwards was this here. Okay, the foreign key. So you can see the error being indicated right here. The alter table conflicted with the foreign key constraint. Okay, so during the back and forth, like when we are adding and changing the classes and then changing the migration, where basically the SQL for creating the tables and changing the table structure has also it's getting modified during this process of where we are going with our changes in our class structure. And obviously that gets translated into the tables, the foreign keys, and so on the database side. Now, what has happened is with the data that is now in this table, in this game schedule table, it is now causing a problem with deleting the college table. So if you run into this problem, the foreign key constraint, the best way to get rid of that that error and allow you to roll back all the way is to delete the data. In this case, since it's saying that there's a conflict with a foreign key in the game schedule table, I'm just going to go and delete all the rows, all the data from game schedule. So I'm going to just say delete from game schedule, execute. So I will, if I do these select statements, I have the college data, but I no longer have the game schedule data. So now let me go back and see if it allowed me to do an update database to 0. Okay. You can see it, it's gone through without giving any error. So let's see, I'll do a select all now, or actually I'll go to the history, and it's rolled it all the way back to the clean without any migrations. It's basically 0. And then if I look at the tables, refresh, I have no more tables here. So basically, if you encounter an error, if you're trying to roll back, and you might want to do it if, for example, you want to go into your initializer and then you want to add some data to one of these tables. The only way you can do that is to clear out the data in at least one of the tables. So the easiest way is to clear out the database, do an update database 0, then run it forward and then migrate forward, update database. And you can obviously, so if I wanted to bring in a 5th college, I would just say, let's say, this would be, let's see, what is, I guess I'll just go with University of Texas. Just UT. So that will be Austin, Texas. Okay, so now I'll just save this. If I go to my database and if I did so I have all my migrations, I have all my tables here. Now, obviously, these, if I just looked at select all from colleges, I don't have any college now. I've added in a 4th college. If I went in and start without debugging, okay, now let me go to my database, select all, and I have my 4 colleges. Okay, so hopefully this clarifies the main concept here is, well, the two, so the first concept is with migrations, how do you how do you activate or move back and forth between navigation, so between migrations, so navigating between migrations. So basically, which ones get implemented on the database in terms of the tables, the columns, the foreign keys, and so on. So that's one concept that you have to be very clear about. The second is the populating the tables. So when you're populating the table with data and then addressing potential errors that might come about because of having data. So addressing especially foreign key errors after tables are populated with data. So you should, as I said, the simplest thing to do to address some of the foreign key areas is to delete data from a child table, in this case, game schedule, which references the parent table of college. Okay. So again, if you're running into any of these problems while working through your through this project, hopefully you're able to apply this and figure out where the problem is. The one other thing I wanted to add here, neutral game site is pretty much the same concept. I actually, even this, I should change it back to one is home college, the other is an away college, just like with game schedule here for the neutral site game. The only additional piece is the location is not in college, but it's in a different class. So actually, if you look at this, this is also an association class, just like game schedule, except that it also connects to a third class here. Well, in this case, two of the connections go to college, and then so you're going to have, in addition to these two, what we set up earlier, you're going to have a third foreign key as well. So that's one concept to keep in mind. It's an extension of whatever we are doing with this. And then I said, when I had mentioned this in the previous recording as well. So when you're wanting to get the listing, create a listing of game schedule objects, not college objects. It's easier to get from here, from a list of game schedule objects, to give a listing. Now, I want you to be comfortable navigating. So if we have a game schedule object, how do you navigate and find a home college object and away college object? How do you find the location at which the game is being played? So those things I would like for you to think through and apply. Okay, so that was what I wanted to record for this session.